Hello, Algebra parents. So this is the video for Algebra and the 15 students that are taking that this year. So I'm obviously taking this over from Mr. Sternig. And I guess the first thing I want to say is I'm really trying to continue um, much of what he did, because I know the whole Angel students were tended to be very well prepared for geometry and then all of their future coursework in high school. So I'm very much following his template with a few maybe additions or changes, much of it just being how like the assessments will be lined up to exactly match into standards grading as opposed to the ABCD. Um, so the algebra, as you probably know, is the advanced placement course for our students. They have demonstrated that they are ready for it based on their work in seventh grade and standardized test scores. Um, they do need to continue to work hard. There are a few that I think I'm going to be harping on that will need to show their work as they turn in their notebooks, because obviously, as you can get away with not showing your work for a while, but that will defeat everyone at some point. And so that's going to be a huge thing. And if for some reason the students are not um, succeeding in algebra, then we'll obviously have to have a discussion about continuing in it or joining the other eighth grade math class. I hope that won't be an issue, and I don't anticipate it will be. You can read through this whole thing. One thing that you will be seeing about once every 3 to 4 weeks is there's a sheet of paper that has basically for every day of algebra class what their assignment is, and then they'll assess how did they do it, did they correct it, did they show their work. And at the end of the chapter, I'll ask you to sign it, and then that's when they'll give me their notebook. Mr. Sterning did it. I like it. I think algebra is probably our most demanding class at Holy Angels, and so there's a good chance that this will be a class in which there will be homework. Um, it shouldn't be a horrible amount of homework, and it also the eighth graders this year have, I believe, 3 win periods, sort of a study hall like period, so it should be a little less onerous than maybe it would be in the past. The textbooks we'll be using, there's actually 2 of them. So one they used last year and they made their way partially through it. That's the book that we will then continue at the end of the year. At the beginning of the year, especially with how last year ended, we are going to review. And so that's what we're doing right now, is kind of a quick review through the beginning of that text. So we're actually finishing chapter 1. We're going to be reviewing on Monday. Then we'll have our first assessment on Tuesday. I thought I had enough of this first textbook that all the students would be able to have a copy in school and at home. That turned out to not be the case. Both textbooks were read. So I have plenty of the second textbook, not quite enough for everyone to have 2 of the first textbook, but everyone does have both one textbook, which they could keep at home or at school, and they have the online login. So they don't need to be logging it back and forth. And I think most of the students are just logging in at school, the ones who don't have 2, and then using the textbook at home as needed. When we get to likely December, January, everyone will be able to have a book at home and a book at school of the second textbook. One other, I guess, the part of the bonus of this class is that upon successful completion, then the students get to receive course credit for the high school. And then in past years, the final grade could be included in the high school grade point averaging. I don't know how that will work this year, since our students won't be receiving an A, B, C, D. But that is a bridge we will cross when we get there. For the homework, conveniently, most of the homework assigned, the answers will be in the back of the book. It's not enough just to know the answer, right? If you know the answer but don't know how it was achieved, it doesn't do you a whole lot of good. So the students have difficulties. I'm going to really encourage them to reach out to each other, ask a parent, brother, sister. The nice thing about a math book, the textbooks that we're using, they're very much what you or I might have been used to, in the sense of examples that are then very similar to the assigned problems. They're a little bit older textbooks, well before maybe what some people might call like the new math. At least the first textbook we are using this. Then feel free to obviously reach out to me. The web is full of video tutorials. Khan Academy has, a video for nearly every math topic. And then there's one other thing. So the rest of the school is using a math curriculum called iReady. And it's a mix of online and in-person instruction. And then it gives the students, I believe, basically learning tasks that are at their level to help drive them forward. The algebra class is not using that for instruction, but we will be using it to assess, I believe, 3 times during the year to look at, hopefully, growth. So the students did the first of those tests on Thursday and Friday of last week, and all the students did well and tested at basically a high 7th grade, like end of 7th grade or early 8th grade level, which is fantastic. And I'm looking into whether it's possible that our students could also use that basically for additional work if they need, if they have extra time during that WIN study hall, or, topics that are a struggle, if those could be assigned that way. So I guess the big thing that will be different will be the scoring. If at the end of the trimester, your student comes home with 3s on all the standards that we are looking at, that will be a tremendous trimester, right? I mean, they can do it. They understand everything. They can do it on their own. A 4 would be something special. Now, I think in some cases, I'm going to try and find basically problems that are much more difficult and put those on the assessments. In other cases, there'll be a few written pieces. Perhaps that's something where they can just go above and beyond on their own. But 4s would presumably be very, very rare. A 3 would be a fantastic achievement. And then a 2, as they're on their way. I guess the last thing that would really be relevant would be in the classroom. Hopefully it will load, in the class tag, I also put up the priority standards. So these are the Archdiocese's standards for middle school algebra classes that are essentially high school classes. So on the report card, I believe that the standards will look like this far left column. So you can go in and look at these if you want. I believe it's something like 15 or so standards. And then they're broken down into categories or into more specifics with a more math-centric language in the right-hand columns. But those are the skills that by the end of the year, hopefully your student will be able to consistently achieve a 3 on. Please don't be afraid to reach out with any questions. Big shoes to fill with algebra, but I'm hopeful it'll be a great year. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you all at some point in the near future. Have a great night.